Hi there, it's Take Two with Jerry and Debbie and you on EWTN Radio. I'm Jerry Usher along with Debbie Georgiani and the show team. And what everybody is talking about every day on this show is our faith lives, and how important that is for us. We get to do that because we're a Catholic radio network. Do you get to do that where you work? Do you get to talk about the faith in your workplace? That's what we're going to talk about today, Debbie. Should be an interesting conversation.
I hope we have a lot of participation in this. We want to hear if you have the freedom to talk about your Catholic faith in your workplace. Here is the number 833-288-3986. You don't have to be Catholic to call in. Are you able to talk about a God in your workplace, okay? Or your spiritual life in your workplace? Why do we say the workplace? Because it takes up so much of our day, okay? Our waking, as we are the productive parts of our day, we are in probably some kind of work mode, right? Are we able to freely talk about our spiritual life, our faith life, our Catholic faith? 833-288-3986 is the number to call. Matt Kabinski's waiting to answer your call. He's got his headset on. He's ready to go. And once he talks to you, he'll put you on hold. You get to listen live and you'll slip right into the conversation. It'll be a wonderful conversation if you participate. So we need to hear from you and tell us. And you know what? You don't have to out anybody. You don't have to out any company or any situation. Just tell us the circumstances, the scenarios of if it happens, or if there's any uncomfortable comments made, or has anybody went to human resources and said, "Ooh, that Jesus picture offends me." Has that ever happened? Let's talk about it.
833-288-3986. And this is something that has really changed over the years. I remember, when I have had jobs of a more secular nature, there were actually groups that met as Bible studies, groups of employees, and people would pretty openly share their faith. It was no secret, who was a Christian, who was a believer in maybe in a different particular faith. But I think, I think people are a little more hesitant nowadays, just because of the environment and because of, just the criticisms that they come under, and really because religious liberty has been under attack as well. So this is what we want to talk about today. Your workplace, your job. Do you have coworkers that you can really kind of huddle up with and say, "Boy, I'm having a rough day. Will you pray for me?" Are you able to put up religious images like a picture of Jesus, the Sacred Heart of Jesus, Divine Mercy, Our Blessed Mother, things like that? 833-288-3986. That is the phone number for you to call.
Are you able to wear a crucifix, a cross? Has anybody said something about that? I want to share something. I've shared this before many, many years ago, actually, when we first started the show, when I was in the hotel restaurant industry. I always wore a crucifix in the 1980s, Jerry. This is the 1980s. And I always wore a crucifix, but my name badge had my last name on it. My last name was a Jewish last name because my former husband was Jewish. And I used to go up to the tables at this very fancy hotel and say, "So how is your meal? How's everything?" And I'll never forget it. This beautiful lady turned to me and she said, "What are you doing?" And I said, "What am I doing?" And she says, "Why are you wearing a crucifix and you're Jewish?" Okay, so she made the assessment that I was Jewish because I had a Jewish last name. And she said, "Why are you wearing a crucifix?" And I said, "Well, ma'am," I said, "first of all, let me explain something to you. I'm married." And I showed her my wedding ring. And I said, "My husband is Jewish. I'm Catholic." And she goes, "Oh." And she really was very miffed at that. She was very bothered that I had a Jewish name on my uniform, okay? And I was wearing a crucifix. And that was in the 1980s. Can you just imagine how much worse it's gotten with religion, and how people, all of a sudden throw up those, I'm offended. By what? By what? What are you offended by? Let's talk about it. 833-288-3986. Yeah, I always remember that to this day. Isn't that shocking?
Oh, I'm sure. That's an experience you wouldn't forget. Mm-hmm. The converse could be true as well. Maybe you see somebody at work expressing their faith with a Christian T-shirt or a crucifix or a cross or something, and maybe you've gone out of your way to say that I really appreciate you wearing that, or you have a beautiful cross or something like that. I like to do that if it's in the store or out in public somewhere. If I see somebody wearing a nice cross or a crucifix, I always like to comment on that and tell them how very much it looks, how good it looks on them. So that is something that you maybe have had an experience with as well. So again, the phone number 833-288 3986. Email is open and available at take2@ewtn.com. If you're watching the video stream, you can post on the comments on social media. We are waving at you there, thankful that you have tuned into the video. You can post on the show website, take2show.com. And if you'd like to text us a message, text the letters EWTN to 55000. Wait for a response. Put in your comments. It might be a small data rate with that one, but lots of ways for you to participate in today's conversation.
Going back to my story from the late 1980s of what happened, and there was a point when I went home and I actually thought about getting a new name badge and going back to my maiden name, which was Rizzio. I almost thought about that, and then I thought, wait a minute, I'm married. I'm taking my married name, and and this is the problem that we have. Are we silenced? Are we pushed back into a corner and saying, wait, maybe I need to pull back on my, what I display out there in the workplace? This is an interesting situation that we're all in right now. And I think it's very dangerous at times for us, because I think there are times we need to speak, and then there's times where we need to pull back. But I think this is critical times we're in, and I hope that our listeners really sit back and absorb what is being said on the show today, so that maybe it could empower you or give you the sense of strength and courage to really live out your faith in the public square, in the workplace. What do you think, Jerry? I hope that happens today.
We hope that happens every day on this show, and the only way it happens is with your participation. We got busy phones right now. If you want to call in and you can get into the queue right now. We get to as many of you as we can. Social media, emails. We just love to have you get a hold of us in whatever way that you want to. But as Debbie always says, we love to hear your beautiful voice as well. 833-288-3986. Ace McKay is our producer. Jeff Burson on social media. I think today, I'll double check on that. Matt Gabensky is on the phones, and you are listening to Take Two with Jerry and Debbie on EWTN Radio.
活出天上，生活天主教。
Vivere nella verità, vivere da cattolico.
Živi istinu, živi katoličanstvo.
In any language, it means the same. Live truth, live Catholic. EWTN.
The wisdom of Mother Angelica.
Those of you that are Catholic and have gone to confession with quite a load have experienced a joy that no other thing will give you. There is something about hearing, I absolve you from all your sin. Why? In His own name? No, in the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. So I know for sure I am forgiven. There's nothing. And those of you that are not Catholic and don't have that particular sacrament, there's nothing like kneeling down in your living room or even sitting in your car and with a sorrowful heart say, Lord, I am deeply sorry, and I'm going to try very hard never to do that again. Forgive me. Then the Spirit comes along with hope and joy and peace.
For more information on Mother Angelica, visit Religious Catalog at EWTNRC.com.
Carry EWTN with you everywhere with the EWTN app. You can enjoy EWTN TV and radio live streams, prayers, and devotionals, and keep up on the latest Catholic news. Visit EWTNapps.com.
Sharing your faith in the workplace, on the job. Is that something you feel comfortable doing? Is there a freedom to do that where you work? Are you a little hesitant? Is there maybe kind of an atmosphere of you shouldn't really be doing that? All across the board today, we want to hear your experiences at 833 288-3986. And EWTN has so many different types of programming, something for everyone, including, of course, those of us who like to pray. And if you like to pray Sunday Vespers, it airs at 6 p.m. Eastern Time right here on EWTN, actually EWTN Radio Essentials, which is available on the app and on EWTNradio.net. You can join the Franciscan Missionaries of the Eternal Word as they celebrate Vespers and Benediction of the Blessed Sacrament from Our Lady of the Angels Chapel in Irondale, Alabama. Sunday, 6 p.m. Eastern Time on EWTN Radio Essentials.
Beautiful. And also, just a big shout out, if you're listening in Atlanta, please keep your radio station in prayer. Atlanta Catholic Radio, 1160 AM, The Quest, celebrates their 4th anniversary this week. Congratulations to Carol and her great team at The Quest. Oh, we love The Quest. Please support your Catholic radio station. When they come to you for pledge drives and say we need the necessary funds to keep broadcasting and keep all the utilities and engineering and towers and everything paid, please give generously and tell your friends, because we need Catholic radio now more than ever. Before we get to Kurt in Rhode Island, Kurt, you're going to be first up here on Take Two. Jerry, I thought of another thing that happened recently. I went to this very popular takeout, fast food place. And because I was, in Arizona, you got to constantly hydrate, right? So I needed some tea. Because I had a long drive, and I went through the drive-through, and this young girl, beautiful, sweet, kind, very helpful, was at the at the register, and she was taking the orders, and she and other people, her coworkers in the restaurant, they had on ball caps with pentagrams on it. Pentagrams. Wow. And I thought, that's interesting. So I guess that is okay, and people shouldn't get offended. Okay, and that's okay. But when somebody sees a crucifix or a cross, they are highly offended. It was very interesting. Anyway, needless to say, I after she was so kind, I didn't want to get her in trouble, but I did make a phone call to the manager after I went there, and just in general said, why don't you just have your logo of your restaurant rather than these, star symbols and things that could possibly, even though they may think it doesn't, can represent something that is not of God. Did you want to explain a pentagram?
Well, just real briefly, a pentagram, it's a 5-point star symbol that is used widely by Wiccans and other, I guess, pagans and Satanists and what have you. So, I can agree with you. That would be a little bit unsettling, I should say.
Yeah. So and he did explain it away. He said that's not our intent. And I said, I understand that. I understand you can always take something and twist it in another area, but the truth of it is that it does have that. It can have that representation, and I think it's very dangerous. So I just told him, I said, listen, no disrespect, but why don't you just use your logo instead of having that? And he agreed. So there you go. So that was another thing.
All right.
Okay.
We're going to go to your calls. As promised, Kurt in Rhode Island, listening on the Station of the Cross. Welcome to Take Two with Jerry and Debbie. Hi, Kurt.
Hi, Kurt.
Hi, Jerry. Hi, Debbie. Happy Easter. It's going to be going on for another 6 to 7 weeks.
Happy Easter to you.
I like to say it's funny. You're talking about a pentagram. Absolvo et coagula. If you ever look at the Baphomet, it's an upside down. It is a pentagram. Also, the Order of the Eastern Star has the same pentagram, which is the Women's Auxiliary Freemasonry. But I won't get into that. It's really ironic that the times that we're living in. Here, the faith has been around for 2,000 years. And when it first started, we all know there was 12, 15, 500, 3,000, just multiplying by the day. And we were converting those who never knew Christ. And they were coming in by the droves. But yet, 2,000 years later, the exact opposite is happening. In fact, I believe, and I'm a convert of 30 years, can I promote my faith in the workplace? I make a point of it, and I get harassed, I get scorned, laughed upon, And these are from Catholics. These are from cultural Catholics. You're called the religious kook. Yeah, how can you belong to a church full of pedophiles? And on it goes. So here you are trying to promote the faith. I mean, as Fulton J. Sheen said, the faith doesn't need to be defended. It's like a lion, just let it out of the cage. So I think a lot of us are afraid in this world of political speech and not to offend anyone, and they forget how they're being harassed themselves. I mean, we should go after, the community that wants to hold up homosexuality, transgenderism, paganism, Wiccanism, you name it, okay? And go after these people the same way they put down our faith. Imagine if we did that. I could say, well, hey, look, you want to play in a level playing field? Let's play in a level playing field. Let's call a spade what a spade is, and let's speak the truth. And it's funny, I was just talking about, I wouldn't say just talking about, I was just thinking about it. And now imagine going up to somebody who's, let's say, homosexual, married, under the auspices of what the state gives you for marriage. And you said to them, look, I just want to tell you the truth. Do you understand what Christianity is? And let's say, oh, yeah, I was born a Catholic. But you know something? I ain't going to bother with that. I said, but wait a minute. But you do understand what Catholicism is, what the truth is, what the scriptures say. Yes, I do, and I reject it. Now, I say to them, this very simply. All right, so you admitted that you understand everything, but yet you're going to do your free will freely. And I says, and God gave you that ability to do it. So why aren't we at least saying that instead of trying to use wordsmithing and to get around it? I mean, every pulpit, in every Catholic church should be saying this. Instead, I belong to a couple of men's groups, and I try to get involved. And I keep saying, we got to stop this lemonade Catholicism. We have to stop watering down the faith, because isn't that lukewarmness really at its core? I mean, our Lord said, look, I'd rather have you hot or cold. Right. So at least a person who says, I outright reject it, but I believe I understand everything you said. And I came back and I said, good, as long as you understand that, because I can't force your free will, but I'm going to be held accountable. I'm not going to tell somebody that it's okay to be transgenderism.
Well, Kurt, you're saying a lot of important things as always. It's great to have you back on the show, and thank you for the Easter greetings. We send those in a heartfelt way right back at you there. You are talking about really approaching people we have to approach people in love. But love means the truth, and that's what you're saying right now. And it does the person we're talking with no good whatsoever to try and pretend that there isn't an absolute objective truth. We want to do it always, though, in love, and like you said, ask them the question, do you know about this? It's not so much being in somebody's face and attacking them and so forth. And you talked about, the persecutions you come under and so forth. Jesus himself promised that, he said, if the world has hated me, it will also hate you. And there's even one of the Beatitudes, I can't remember which gospel it's in, Debbie, where it talks about, blessed are you, blessed are this, blessed are that, and you will receive, all these great things and persecution too. You remember that I think it's in one of the Beatitudes. So we're fairly warned by Scripture that this is going to happen. What we have to have is thick enough skin and enough love in our hearts to still be able to approach people and care enough for souls to share the truth with them, always in a way that Jesus would, when he approached someone who was not living a life that he felt that they should be living. So
the truth with charity and clarity, and that's our role, Kurt. And we hear your passion about this, and we share that, and we are in a world that is constantly silencing us and pushing out the truth. Okay. And that's a problem. And I do agree with you on scripture that God says either be hot or cold, because lukewarm, he will spit you out. And that is true. So we really need to stand in truth. Kurt, thank you so much for starting this conversation today about being able to speak the faith freely in the workplace. We appreciate always when you call in to Take Two. May I just share something before we get to Leslie?
Okay.
Okay, real quickly, I want to share this. A lot of folks don't know this, but please do so after the show. Go on to the USCCB site, usccb.org. That's the United States Conference of Catholic Bishops. And just type in vandalism and destruction of Catholic churches in the United States. Okay, and you will see a summary there that is very eye-opening and also unsettling at the same time. It says at least 128 incidents have occurred across 35 states since May of 2020. How this corresponds is that's when George Floyd died. Okay, so May of 2020, 128. Okay, and that includes arson, statues beheaded, limbs cut off, smashed, paint smeared all over the churches, gravestones defaced. Okay, it goes on and on. 128 times our church, our faith, our God has been mocked and hurt. Have you heard anybody really saying anything? I mean, it's interesting that we're having these reports on this, but really, we should really, I think we all need to stand together and constantly voice our disgust and our how much we oppose all of this, and it needs to stop. We need to be defenders of the faith, not just, trying to live the faith. What do you think, Jer?
I agree. Yeah. It's happening, like you said, more and more, and there's really no reason for it. It's a lot of it's just random, I think. So, yeah, we need to be bold about that. I agree. So let's go to Leslie in Texas. Leslie is listening to the program today on Guadalupe Radio Network. Hi, Leslie. Welcome.
Hi. Good morning. I just wanted to bring up a bit of a different situation. I am an adult student at a community college here in my area, and I'm in a class where the professor asked us to do an assignment where we had to say which party we looked at both the Republican and the Democratic Party and tried to find something from the Democratic Party that we agreed with, but in the question it asked what party do you find yourself more closely identifying with and why? Please discuss those agents in your life that have most significantly influenced your views and alignment with political parties. And so I talked about my faith, and I said, I don't know if you want me to read the answer. It's not terribly long. I stood up for my faith, and I just feel like she came at me afterwards in her what she critiqued about the paper, and I felt like she brought all her private, democratic views into play. She interspersed that with, yes, I can see where I went wrong, in my writing, where I might have left something out, but it was like almost 2 pages long of her, saying why she believed the Democratic Party was correct. So my answer, are you there?
Yeah, we're here.
Oh, yes.
Oh, okay. And my answer was, I do not consider myself Republican or Democrat. I vote as a Catholic with a Catholic worldview. I do identify with most of the Republican Party's principles. My faith is my guiding compass in all things. That faith is what I hold all issues up for vote up to. So when I vote, I have that as my utmost standard. I have often said I will not vote for a candidate simply because he or she is a minority like myself. If a Hispanic person were to run for the presidency, I would not vote for him or her simply because they are Hispanic. I vote for the person who is going to first and foremost uphold the faith-based moral and ethical values that I believe in. If a person, whatever race they may be, is running who is advocating for a pro-choice liberal agenda, I will not vote for that person. If one day there were ever to be a Democratic candidate who did stand for all of these things I believe are important, and the Republican candidate did not, then I would vote for the Democratic candidate. I do not hold allegiance to any political party. I do not worship at the altar of any particular political candidate. I vote for the person who as closely as possible represents the authentic Catholic worldview. There is a hierarchy of the things that a Catholic looks at when deciding how to vote. Education, financial issues, immigration are all very important issues, but they all fall underneath the importance of voting pro-life. A true Catholic does not put monetary, political, party loyalty issues over the sanctity of life, period. After reading the platforms, I do feel the policies I value the most at this time are and have been for many years represented by the Republican Party.
Well, I'll tell you what, Leslie, you just gave probably one of the best summaries ever that could be given of how a Catholic is to vote, and that is by Catholic principles, not by a person's wealth, not by how their personality, not by their skin color, not by their party line, nothing like that. If you can hold on just for a minute, we can comment on the wonderful things you just said. It sounded, I wanted to ask you, Leslie, maybe you can think about this during the break. It sounded like this teacher was kind of trying to set up some of the students because she already had her preset beliefs. I don't know her, I can't judge that situation, but we'll continue with Leslie in Texas and the rest of you here on Take Two in just a minute.
When I was a youth minister with a young family, I took on a side job as a recruiter to make ends meet. I was hired by Ken Hensley. He'd been a Baptist pastor, but felt like God was calling him to become Catholic, so he lost everything, rebuilding his livelihood recruiting. I tried for 6 months and I failed at that job. 20 years later, a friend of mine with means reached out to me wanting to start a ministry supporting pastors who were becoming Catholic, and I knew just the guy. That launched Ken into full-time work for the church, not only supporting Catholic converts, but preaching internationally. Now he's living his dream. So what's the point of my story? Well, it would have been easy for me at that time of my life as a recruiter to think that that was a sidetrack from God's plan and a waste of my time. But if I hadn't been there doing that, Ken wouldn't be making the impact he is today. See, sometimes when you don't feel like you're living out your purpose, maybe that time in your life's not about you, but maybe you're exactly where God wants you the most. This is Chris Stefanik from RealLifeCatholic.com.
Want to be notified when Take Two with Jerry and Debbie goes live on Facebook? Follow EWTN Radio's Facebook page and click the bell icon to be notified.
The most original and exclusive Catholic content is on EWTN Radio.
I don't like looking back. I prefer to look forward and keep moving forward. There's plenty to cover. I do a lot of research and try to dig out the bits and pieces of a life or of an agenda that people don't want to talk about.
The World Over with Raymond Arroyo. Tonight, 8 Eastern on EWTN Radio and Television.
Hi, this is Janet Williams. We embrace the essence of feminine spirituality on Women of Grace tomorrow at 11 a.m. Eastern here on EWTN Radio. Now, back to Take Two with Jerry and Debbie.
Take Two with Jerry and Debbie on EWTN, and it is Michael McCall who is on social media today. I mentioned Matt Gabensky on the phones. Ace McKay is our producer. Thank you, affiliates, for carrying the program. We're talking with Leslie in Texas, listening on Guadalupe Radio Network. Had an experience at her community college where she was basically, Leslie, I don't know if you felt this way or not about it, but it sounded like the whole question or series of questions that this teacher asked, for you to put down your thoughts on which particular political party most lined up with, your philosophies of life and your beliefs and your faith and so forth. And it almost sounded like a little bit of a setup, and that maybe there was, kind of a predetermined approach that this teacher was going to take to that. But, God bless you for standing up and laying out like you did. A place of higher learning is supposed to be a place of open minds. That's what they always say. It just seems like nowadays that just really isn't the case anymore. There are a lot of closed minds, certainly among students, definitely among faculty and teachers as well. So bless you, Leslie, for putting out again that beautiful, eloquent exposition of how we are to approach politics as Catholics. Maybe, Debbie, just maybe, something that Leslie said to this teacher or wrote in that paper got that teacher thinking, even though the teacher, kind of tore it apart, with the red pen, with the red ink, so to speak. Maybe there was some seeds planted there.
I totally agree. Let's hope that that's, exactly what happened with this professor. Leslie, I have to ask you, first of all, I echo everything Jerry said. And I just want to say you're a hero of mine. I thought your paper was excellent. You deserve an A+++. Please tell me you did receive high marks on this paper, right?
Well, I've been getting pretty high marks up until this paper. She gave me a B+.
Okay.
No. Let me see. A B.
A B. Okay. Yeah. That's okay. So Leslie, just pray about this and think about this. I would maybe after the course or something, hold on to that paper and maybe share with the administration, maybe when you're done, that is, to me, is very, I don't know. I find that to be not sincere at all, what this professor did. I just from based on what you were sharing, and I don't think that's right at all. And especially if you were earning high marks and now you get a B on this because you eloquently spoke the truth and the professor didn't like it. Well, too bad. I mean, I hope somehow you make that kind of complaint known in a way when you're safely out of that institution. What do you think?
Well, that's what I was calling you guys just to ask just that, if you thought that, that was something that I should do. And after talking with your wonderful screener, I'm definitely going to do that. I'm hoping and praying for her. I'm praying that she's fair, and that she doesn't hold this against me, because the thing of it is a student should be able to write what they believe and not feel fear that the professor or, her classmates are going to, hold that against them and use it against them or anything like that. But I just felt, like she asked, and I felt like I had to tell the truth. And, it's so funny because in her comments, she wrote something like, well, Christians want everybody to force everybody to think the way they do. And I'm just can't you see that, that people on your end do the exact same thing? Mm-hmm. Look at with this mandate that the president is trying to, push with the doctors, in the medical area. And I'm like, that's forcing those views on all these doctors.
Right.
So it's hypocritical.
Well, Leslie, here, this is just a suggestion. Pray about it. Maybe talk to the people that you go to that, and you said Matt Gabinski was wonderful in sharing some insights, and he's amazing. So I would listen to what Matt had to say as well. But maybe think about this. Maybe go to the professor and just say, and just in a question format, just say, I'm professor, I'm a little bit concerned about something. I've earned all these high marks on papers, and then all of a sudden I get a B. And I just find that very odd. It's very strange. I almost feel like it's a direct hit towards me. Could you please explain why all of a sudden I dropped from A's to B because of something? It sounds to me like it's something that you did not want to hear. Okay, but you should be judging me on the quality of the content. And I would challenge it in a way that is kind of like a question and see where her come from is, because it may just kind of rattle her enough to say, wait a minute, I can't do this. Even though I disagree with what Leslie said, even though I don't, maybe like Christians, I can't bring her grade down because I just don't like what she's saying. What do you think real quickly about that? We got full phone line, so we got to keep going.
Yes. I'm going to keep that in mind. I was thinking to kind of I have like 2 more assignments and then my final. So I was thinking about like kind of watching first, to see how she was gonna act. But the sad thing is that before that, I felt like we had a great, rapport going on. She was being, and I just felt like a very, a change. Sort of like you could just kind of feel it. Anyway, just say a prayer for me, because I can't afford the Catholic colleges in my area, and I would love to be able to transfer to a Catholic university. So just say a prayer that maybe I can find a way, maybe I can clean floors or do something and get some kind of...
Well, Leslie, we put you in the book, okay? And God knows, and God's hearing everything right now, hearing this conversation, hearing your pleas, hearing your concerns. So we put you in the prayer book, and we'll start praying, okay? Keep up the
because
faith.
they're dealing with a war out there. So
Yeah.
Thank you. Stay strong,
Lots of prayers.
Leslie. You're
Yeah,
doing
thanks,
great.
Leslie.
Yep.
Appreciate the call very much. Let's go to Elise in Angola, Indiana. Elise is listening on Annunciation Radio. Hello, Elise. Welcome to Take Two.
Hi, guys. I only have a couple of minutes because I have to go back from my lunch break, so I'll be quick.
Okay,
But
thanks for holding.
yeah, I have been just feeling compelled lately to wear a large cross or even a crucifix around my neck when I go into work. And part of that has been I've just been noticing how many people come into my workplace who have symbols that have to do with witchcraft or even Satanism. And not just that, but other things. I've just been aware of kind of a negative spiritual presence at the workplace. And so just when I heard your topic today, I just thought of this because I just felt like I wanted to make sure people know where I stand. I want to make sure that, you know, any spiritual eyes that might be looking at me also know, without even hearing words, they can just see the cross on me and know where I stand. And so I guess I'm just asking for prayer and continued strength to witness to my faith at work.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
Elise, for sure. I put you in the book as you were speaking real quickly. And I know Jerry has a couple comments before you got to go back to work. I think it's a great idea for you to wear a crucifix or maybe wear a miraculous medal at times or St. Benedict cross or anything else you want to wear that is a religious symbol. Make sure you have them all blessed. Okay, make sure you have them blessed, and then just that added sacramental will give you more, I believe, more of the graces and blessings that you need to be able to be that witness in the workplace. Jerry?
Only thing I would say, Elise, I know you got to go, but I'm not sure that many people really are aware of the deeper spiritual meaning of some of these symbols and movements and, you know, these things that some things are just trendy, you know, and they just want to be one with their friends. And of course, they don't realize, you know, exactly the harm that can come from, from dabbling and even more than dabbling in some of this stuff. So we will definitely pray for you, and we'll join you in praying for these individuals as well, because I know your heart wants to have them know what the truth is and pursue that, and that truth is Jesus Christ. Elise, we'll be praying with you and for you as well. Okay.
Thanks, Elise. Okay, we've got social media coming in. We've got comments coming in for Leslie. People are praying already, Leslie, that you can get to a Catholic university and God's abundant blessings on you. Everybody loved your paper. We all give you an A, Leslie, if you're listening. So, and we think that's all that matters if we give you an A, right?
Right. Talking about faith in the workplace, on the job today on Take Two with Jerry and Debbie. And hold on, you're next in South Carolina right after Susie in Canada. And Susie is listening to us today on the Station of the Cross. Hi, Susie. Thanks for your patience. Welcome.
Oh, hi. No problem. I just wanted to let you know that I lived in the Middle East, and there when we were across certain countries, when I was young, they used to always say, "Oh, remove the cross. You know, you shouldn't be wearing the cross." But I was very bold enough at a young age, and I said, "No, this is my cross. This is my faith, and I keep it on." So when I moved with my parents to Canada, I haven't had any difficulty in my faith, expressing my faith, but a few times at my work, if I have a crucifix, if I have a picture, I was told, I shouldn't be having it. And right away I say, oh, why shouldn't I? Other people have their other statues from other religions. And so they kind of, walk away and never say anything. During Christmas time, most of the people, we were told not to say Merry Christmas, but I do say Merry Christmas. I do say Happy Easter. So far, I've been expressing my faith. But when it comes, like if anyone stands and tell me, be very bold and tell me about my faith, I would just reply to them. I would say, I come from the Middle East. I was proud of my faith in the Middle East, and I didn't care what they did, what they said. And now I'm in North America, and no one can stop me to express my faith, especially wearing a cross, a crucifix.
Good for you, Susie. Way to go. I love it. I love how strong you are. And you're like, I love the way you said, it's my faith. And that's right. It's yours. And no one can take that away from you. And that's the beauty of it. And I'm so, wow, you just inspired me today. And I think, I'm sure if Elise is still listening before she went into work, that would give her a confirmation to wear that crucifix proudly and boldly, and to go out there and express what we believe as Catholic Christians. Way to go. You are awesome. And here's the other thing too. I think sometimes we want to kind of fly under the radar. It's just a natural way that we don't want conflict. We don't want people not accepting us or liking us. We don't want to sit at the lunch table all by ourselves. Remember in the old days at school, the kids that got stuck at the lunch table all by themselves. We don't want that. We want to belong. But you know what? Maybe the more we identify each other, okay, we will belong, because we will say, there's Susie, and Susie believes in her faith, and I want to hang out with Susie. And that's what we need to do. What do you think, Jer?
Can't agree more. I've said it earlier in this program and probably many times on this show. The little seeds that we plant, Susie, just imagine. You may not know in this life, you may not have people actually come up to you and say anything, but they're seeing that. And who knows, Susie, maybe somebody who has, Christianity in their past and grew up as a Catholic, and maybe they used to wear a crucifix and went to Mass and pray the rosary, could be far away from all of that right now. But we always say that about Catholic radio, and people just quote unquote find Catholic radio. It's going to bring back to life those seeds that were planted. And what you're doing, Susie, is being a witness. We are called to be witnesses. Your responsibility, our responsibility, is not the response of the other people, but just simply to be that witness, and you're doing that. It's beautiful.
Amen.
I love it.
Yep. What do you think, Susie?
Yeah, I just remembered also another instance. We had a discussion at work when we were all in the office, and we were talking about Trump, like not too many people like him. But I stood up and I said, I like Trump from one main reason, is because he defended the unborn. And my whole team was silent. They were looking at me. I said, the unborn is important, and he defended them. And I, in our faith, like, we believe about the unborn, and we are against abortion. And not like you could hear the pin drops,
Yeah. Well, again, people want to be accepted. Everybody's holding back on how they really feel about things. And it's really unfortunate. Again, going back to our very first caller, our dear friend Kurt, we need to just speak the truth in charity and with charity and clarity. And that's the way to do it. And that's all we're responsible to do, right? We're responsible for, I should say. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Susie. Appreciate the call. Appreciate your witness. Thanks for inspiring us today on the program.
Yep, absolutely. Do you have something to share with our listeners?
I do, yeah, as a matter of fact. Today on Open Line, Father Brian Milady, Thursdays, 3 Eastern Time, 3 p.m. Eastern Time, and Encore is at 10 p.m. Eastern Time right here on EWTN Radio.
I'm so glad you shared that, because as you were sharing it, I wrote it down to make a note to tune in. There you go. Okay, see, I listened to you, Jerry. Let's just hope all of the Take Two family does as well. Okay, Ann is up next in South Carolina, listening on Catholic radio in South Carolina, and Ann has been waiting so patiently. Ann, we're going to send you the Virtual Patience Award, okay? It's just for you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I wanted to compliment you. I don't know if your attentive listeners heard your story when you first came on the air regarding the situation where you were working at a restaurant, and she came up to you and asked you why you were wearing a crucifix. I thought your mannerism and the way you upheld your faith and your just great works of faith got you through that little conference with her, and the way you answered the question. I wear scapulas, and I do a novena, and I think it's in the 7th novena, the 9-day novena. It says wearing an open rosary openly is very beneficial for many graces and blessings, not only to you, but to others who are aware of what you have around your neck. And it's funny that the lady before me talked about Donald Trump. I wanted to say something about Melania Trump. She stood at the podium, and no one knew. I did not know, but I don't think anyone else knew that she was going to start her message by saying, "Our Father who art in heaven." And there are 3 daily words that come out of the Our Father: is our daily bread. And by showing others how good Jesus is to you or others around you, I mean, eyes can be so powerful in what they see, as well as ears. And I just thought that was very complimentary to the United States and what Melania did for the country and the nation by saying, "Our Father." I don't know if anyone knew she was going to do that or if anyone even remembers she did that, but you don't have to be Catholic to say the Rosary. And you can just do Our Father after Our Father, and God will hear your prayers and the Hail Mary, and then eventually you'll learn the Rosary the way the Catholics do the Rosary. But the Rosary is for everyone in the United States. It's a beautiful, beautiful thing that you don't have to be Catholic to do the Rosary. And the benefits and graces you receive from God for doing that are incredible.
Oh, we couldn't agree more. And we just want to thank you so much for waiting so long to get on the air with us. And thank you for the kind words. They really mean so much to me, because it's funny how things, from 20, 30 years ago can stay with you, and they still remind you of things. And that's why I wanted to share it. So I thank you so very much. You'll be very proud. Okay. I have to tell you, I'll be really honest. And I wasn't trying to get into anybody's face or start any confrontations. But after that incident that happened, okay, the crosses that I wore, I had a very small crucifix. It was about the size of almost an inch. And the crosses and crucifixes got bigger and bigger and bigger over the years as I worked, because I thought, I'm not doing this. I'm going to make sure everybody clearly knows that I'm a Christian. So you'd be proud of that. They got bigger and bigger. In fact, some of the staff used to say to me, one cross was almost 4 inches big. And I had some of the chefs say to me, "How much bigger is the cross going to get?"
That's really carrying your cross.
That's right. That's right. What do you think, Ann?
It's great. I think that's amazing. And just by those kind words you said to her, you may have enlightened her to Jesus. I mean, it was just very, very much. I mean, it's just a powerful way of your reacting to her comments, how you handled yourself. I thought you did a fantastic job.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I will tell you, she kept coming into the hotel and restaurant. She didn't stop. So obviously she felt comfortable. So that's a good thing. I saw her again and again. So it's all good. Thank you, Ann. Thank you so much. You made my day. I appreciate it.
Yeah. And the thing is, we have to remember, Jesus Christ died for everyone. And, we shouldn't approach, say our coworkers who maybe don't have faith as thinking, well, I have faith, I go to church, I'm in this group over here, they don't have faith, they don't go to church, they're in that group over there. We must always remember that those are souls that Jesus once brought to him and ultimately brought to heaven. And that hopefully will be our guiding principle in how we conduct ourselves and how we really treat our fellow employees and our co-students and things like that.
Right. But by our baptismal call, we are supposed to go out there and spread the good news, and we do that by example and by words and by gestures and the way we present ourselves. So that's a big deal. Okay, Jenny is up next in Round Rock, Texas, listening on Sirius XM 130. Hi, Jenny. You've been waiting long as well, so you can share the virtual award with Ann. I'm sure she'll share it with you. Hi, Jenny. Hello,
Jenny. You waited a long time. Are you there, Jenny?
We can hear her. Yeah. Jenny, take us off of mute.
All right. Well, what we'll have to do is have Matt check back in with her as we go over to Steve, who's also in Texas, listening on Guadalupe Radio Network. Hi, Steve. Welcome.
Well, welcome. I get to share my faith very well at work because my boss is a Catholic. I get to come in at work early in the morning and put on Mass and watch Mass on our TV in our group area where we gather when we have a group. I work in that area. So we have Mass in the morning, sometimes even listen to the rosary afterwards. And I am in the discernment of a diaconate, and he knows that. So when we go out to meals with the group, he always asks me to say the blessing. So I get to witness a lot. Pretty easy. No
Beautiful.
persecution or nothing. It's unreal. I'm going, this is too easy.
Yeah.
But I have had persecution in my life because of my faith, and I don't know if you want to hear that story or not, but.
Well, we don't have a lot of time. If you have something real brief, we got about a minute or two left, Steve.
Okay, I was at a family reunion on my dad's mother's side, and he was in Albuquerque. I live in West Texas anyway. They lived around Chicago, and one summer they come out and picked us up, me and my siblings and my mom on the way to Albuquerque. Anyway, first night we get there, of course, this is back in the 60s, and I was probably about 10. And at that time, we were still, every Friday was meatless then, fast. And we got there on a Friday evening, and anyway, the kids, all the different kids congregated together, and we're talking. And somebody yells out, "Time to come and eat supper." And I go, "Oh, it's Friday, we can't eat meat." And this girl, who's probably a little older than me, she turned around and said, "You're a Catholic?" I said, "Yeah." And she just shoved me down on the ground and ran off to the house. I'm laying there going, what happened? It's kind of wild. And I realized what had happened, Now, my mom had told me that you may have experienced this kind of thing, because my mom was very devout, and she reminds me of Father Bill Casey in the way she'd give you point blank and double barrel when you want the truth.
Right.
So I learned it the way, a very strong way. So, but luckily I get to live my faith out, and right now I'm just in the process of trying to figure out if God's calling me for the diaconate. So a chance to really witness.
Yeah, well, Steve, you can be assured of our prayers for that. It's very exciting to hear that you're discerning being a permanent deacon. That is fantastic. And there's no doubt that the work environment that you have, like you said, you get to watch Mass on TV and pray the rosary, and your boss is a Catholic and is good with all of that. Steve, hit your knees every night when you get home and say, thank you, God, for this work situation that I have, because so many people have it really, really difficult, and God has really blessed you, and He's obviously got some plans for you, perhaps in the area of ministry, Debbie.
Absolutely. Steve, I entered your name in our prayer book. We'll be praying, and as you discern the diaconate, and God bless you. And I just want to say, Steve, I'm glad you didn't announce your employment location, because everybody would be applying for jobs in your area, because it sounds like a little slice of heaven. Thank you, Steve. Are we going to get to Jenny real quick? For 30 seconds?
That's about all that we have.
Okay,
yeah.
Jenny, we have 30 seconds. Welcome. Jenny, are you there? Oh,
uh-oh.
We tried twice. Okay. Jenny, please email us, take2@ewtn.com. Jenny has a great story about being a nurse and how she's a nurse educator now. And she's got a great story. We'd love to hear it. Please email us, take2@ewtn.com. And that's for everybody. We read everything. And by the way, folks, you're going to be happy to know that we're finishing up the final emails that we're going to get to this week. And so everybody will hopefully get a response from us. And that's great. I'm so excited. That's like big to-do list. We can check it off and say, we did it. We responded to everybody.
Yeah, especially the prayer intentions that come in. On Tuesday's show, we had our God, I Need You Now urgent prayer show. And we got a ton of email prayer requests. Please know that if it takes us a little while to get back to you, maybe they fall through the cracks. We hope to not ever miss any of them, but they are all lifted up in our prayers each and every day. Yeah, and in the prayer book, yeah.
Absolutely. Okay, tomorrow we're going to talk about birthdays and christenings and how important they are. That's a very important day in our life, and we want to talk about it tomorrow, Jerry.
Okay. All right, until then, thanks again to the show team, Ace, Michael McCall today, Matt Gabensky on the phones. Thank you, affiliates, for carrying the show. Thank you, Take Two family, for carrying the show as well. For Debbie Georgianni, I'm Jerry Escher, wishing you a beautiful and blessed day. St. Joseph, pray for us. He is risen. Happy Easter.
Tomorrow morning on the Sunrise Morning Show.
We'll get a preview of the readings for Divine Mercy Sunday, the second Sunday